Now we could say strictly speaking, from a range perspective, if this is the value area high, then you would expect a rotation, if there's acceptance, if price stays in here, to eventually rotate down to the value area low and possibly hit this daily level, which is a bit farther away. Yeah, so these are the kind of things that I start looking at when I see price re-entering the range. I hope you're all doing very well. This is Coach Victor here at Safehouse. Today we want to, well, plan the week basically. All right, so we'll start with Bitcoin. And for those of you that were watching on the trading stage before when I was setting up the charts, and you kind of already know how I got here and what I was looking for, perhaps. And we go to the monthly time frame because I think it's very important, especially at the beginning of a new week, to start with a high time frame first. So this is the Bybit chart, BTC USD pair, not the Tether pair. So this month so far, this has been November, and October was just by the amplitude of the candle clearly different. So October was a very, very explosive month. You can see September was tiny. August also not bad at all. So October has been one of the bigger candles, yeah, of the size that, you know, used to be 3 years ago. So November has slowed down in that sense a little bit in amplitude wise, but not necessarily price wise. It has kept pushing and attempts to continue to enter this area that we could, for example, there's several ways to do this, but one easy way would be to say, okay, there's a monthly level right there, 35K one. So is this monthly candle above or not? And the answer is yes, it is above. That would open the door to, for example, the next untapped monthly level, which is 45K, 45.5. It's a high time frame target that, you know, can take a few candles to get to, but that's what this month so far is saying. This is very interesting. Yeah, that's the one I wanted to show you. From January and February 2022, that's where price is right now on pause, so to speak. It hasn't been able to get past that. The all monthly levels are more for orientation. It's not like I expect a fantastic reaction off of them anymore because they've been traded through, you know, revisited here 1 March, here in April, in May again. But they are interesting support resistance flip areas. They can act like that. So this one so far is acting as resistance, not a surprise. And this is a 35K one I was talking about before. I've mentioned this in other videos as well. The 35K area is extremely important because we can basically use it as the bottom of this entire upper part of the chart. So as long as price stays above this one with conviction, even if it revisits it, as long as it bounces off and takes off again, then we can still consider targets like 45.5, 50K. And what's this one up here? 61. That's very important to see prices above this level and holding quite well so far. Let's jump to the weekly. Yeah, we leave this level here as reference. So now you see, okay, that's where the all monthly was. So it took 1, 2, 3 weeks to pierce through. On the fourth one, it was revisited. Yeah, so a period of almost a month interacting with this level. And last week was not quite able to reach it. And you can see that the candle bodies are getting very small. And even though the weeks have quite a nice amplitude, so there's enough volatility, in the end, the result seems to be pretty much the same. Yeah, it almost closes where it opened. So complete indecision in the end. And right now, this week is starting just the same. You can see there's a wick to the downside, to the upside, but we're basically at the weekly open, and that means absolutely nothing. Yeah? It's a middle of nowhere land, so it's a place where, you know, I'd rather wait for a better area to enter a possible trade position. Yeah, this is points of control are, for me, nice to take profits, but otherwise I don't find them very interesting to enter new positions. So it's a bit of an indecision so far. That's fine. And you will already notice, if you haven't already, that finally, the highs from the 2 previous weeks were taken. In other words, price traveled past them and pulled back. If this happens on a local time frame, it's called a swing failure pattern. It can be a possible trade setup. And if it takes a bit longer, you can call it a failed auction, but it's basically the same process. Yeah, price attempting to go where it hasn't gone before. Well, I mean, it has gone before a long time ago, but recently at least, not having enough juice to keep going and then pulling back because there's not enough buying it. In other words, the push was weak. And the longs that did open up here, we actually saw this last week very nicely on Exo charts, the order flow software we use to see who buys how much and where and at what time. And this was during the New York session, I believe. We did see some trap longs or very aggressive longs at the very top of the move and then get relatively quickly punished as price then pulled back down. So for now, weekly candle is saying, I have no idea where I want to go. That's fine. So then we can switch to the daily candles. And here you already start defining something that can be used more for local trades. Here we can see that the 35K level has been resistance and support. Very interestingly, and very nice revisiting and in the middle of the month, Tuesday the 14th. And this one is the upper boundary. So you can use, for example, the monthly levels as possible boundaries. Daily level wise, we have one, or there is one here. This one here is interesting too. And of course the bottom one there. So that would be the bottom one. That's also an untapped one. That's also a very nice one. And that can be used as a very, very local current support right now. So right now you can see that price is super duper squeezed between 37,297 and 37,8. So that's where we're completely stuck right now, and around the weekly open on top of that. The weekly candle, undecided. No statement, no clear statement. From a daily level perspective, we can say, oh, wait a minute. This already went past the previous day low. In other words, the lowest price of yesterday was revisited and a local swing failure pattern. So that's what's happened so far from the daily perspective. Definitely can keep that pivot in mind as well. How much higher, how much lower? Well, higher is actually very easy because that's your current high right now. In other words, all short positions now, as we speak, have their stop loss order possibly up here, or maybe here, or maybe here. Yeah, so there's not much more space to do so or place. And to the downside, of course, you've got this one here, you've got this one here. Where's the other daily level? Haha. This would be probably a very nice rotation on the upper part of the chart. Now we could say, strictly speaking, from a range perspective, if this is the value area high, then you would expect a rotation, if there's acceptance, if price stays in here, to eventually rotate down to the value area low and possibly hit this daily level, which is a bit farther away. Yeah, so these are the kind of things that I start looking at when I see price re-entering the range. Here it attempted to leave, went for the highs, struggled for a bit over the weekend basically, and then yesterday Sunday already started dropping, and today Monday we're still stuck in here. Can it revisit something from the weekend again and then perhaps fall back in? Yeah, sure. But we do need to accept the fact that it's still inside this value area, and the value area is not small. This is like pretty much the entire month, 9th of November. So losing the point of control, that would be that red line right there. That's 37,348. Opens the door to the value area low and to the daily level. If they pull in here, that would be the approximate Fibble of 786. That's nice. And of course we can say, all right, that was a very dramatic pivot as well. We can use that too, and we can see that this fits with the daily level. And I would use that as the line in the sand. He's splitting this into ranges. Why can't I do this? Of course you can. That would be the combined one, but I want the individual one. There you go. There's your old little point of control, the perfect revisit. Your value area, you see how well that is respected right there. How it just flipped it to support and took off again. That's very important. That's a very important statement. If you, for example, shorting here and this happens, then it's a red flag. Bing, 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 bing. Price is not going back to the range. That's what that's telling you. So same thing here. The value area high is resistance. Ding, ding, ding. Should do that again. So value area low, daily level, very nice. So as long as this stays like this, then I would expect a rotation within this range. It doesn't have to be high time frame bearish because market structure still stays the same. This still makes a higher low. I think it's important to let the London session, which has been running now for an hour and 20 minutes almost. So the New York session would be interesting to see what that brings. So that's how I would leave the chart for now.
Elevate your mastery in trading and discover what you're capable of in the markets. Join the Safehouse Vanguard today.